Alright, so armed with our law of cosines, we're ready to go solve some situations. So the first one is a side angle side situation, because I know a side, and I know the angle between them. So we basically have to figure out what is angle C, what is angle A, right? And we eventually have to find out what the side B is. So that's basically what we have to work with there. So perhaps finding side B might be the easier of the two, right? We know that B squared is A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of angle B. So plugging in the information I know, B squared is going to be 15 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 15 times 20 times the cosine of 124 degrees. All right, so there's basically our work. Of course, at this stage of the game, we probably start turning to our handy-dandy calculator and doing some number crunching, right? And so when we do that, I'm just going to go ahead and put it all together. We got 15 squared, right, plus 20 squared minus 2 times 15 times 20 times 20 times the cosine of 124. All right, and what I'm going to do first off too, I should have checked, yeah, my mode's in degrees, so check that. So go back, quit out of that. So I have 15 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 15 times 20 times the 124, cosine of 124. So what I get, right, is 960.5157421, right? Of course, we have to take the square root now. Keep in mind there is a plus minus, all right, but when I take the square root of that answer, right, what we end up getting is 30 it looks like 9922. All right, so we get 30.9922, but it's the positive root that we want because we are talking about a length. All right, so there, all right, is side B. So we know that this is 30.9922. All right, so now that we have side B, we can start finding my other angles. So let's go for A. So we know that A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC, the cosine of A. All right, and so we can basically plug some things in and essentially solve for it, or we can solve for the cosine of A at this time. You know, and that might be a little easier with the formula. So I would first start subtracting, right, B squared minus C squared. So I get negative 2BC cosine of A is A squared minus B squared minus C squared. If I divide both sides by negative 2BC, we basically have that the cosine of A is A squared minus B squared minus C squared all over 2BC, right? And so now I just have to plug in the information that I know, right? A is basically the inverse cosine of that mess, right? And so what we have is we have A squared is 15, right? B is 30.9922 squared, and C is 20 squared. And we're going to divide that by negative 2 times B times C, and then take the inverse cosine of that. So now we're ready to find our A. And so plugging that into my calculator, all that train wreck, I've got the inverse cosine, use parentheses, right? I have 15 squared minus 30.9922 squared minus 20 squared. That's all up in the numerator. And down in the denominator, I've got a negative 2. We're multiplying that to 30.9922, and then we're multiplying that to a 20. Close my parentheses off, and let me just check my parentheses. Actually, I think I have one too many. Or actually, no, I have enough because that's for the inverse cosine. So pressing enter, it looks like we are 23.6562 degrees. So we have the angle A. So this is 23.6562 degrees. So what about C? Well, C is basically 180 degrees minus my angle B minus my angle C, and we got that. So that one's probably a little easier to do, but again, I'll turn to my calculator. 180 minus 124 minus the 23.6562, and it looks like our angle C is 32 degrees 34.38. All right, and so now we have solved that oblique triangle by using the law of cosines. I used it once to find B, I used it once to find another angle, and then once I had that, I basically used that the sum of the angles, right, has to equal 180 to help me find that third angle. Right, so that's basically the routine you would to solve this when we have a side angle side. You will be using the law of cosines twice. Once to find the remaining side, once to find one of the remaining angles, and then you just use our sum of the angles is equal to 180 to find that third one. So there's that guy. We're almost 8 minutes into this, or 7 minutes into this, so I'll cut away and I'll cut another video for the next one. That's also a side angle. All right, and you'll kind of see the same routine and see the same number crunching. That'll come soon in a video.